everyone. I know you're going to love this. I have the lovely Molly McCord with me today. We've already had one conversation online, and I know, Molly, you are deeply loved out there. You have an incredibly loyal and loving audience that follow your work. And I just want to say, welcome. You're producing some beautiful astrology, beautiful videos, very reliably. Your productivity is awesome. And I know that people love your works. And so, welcome. It's a joy to be with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Pam. Thank you for our second conversation here on YouTube. I've been looking forward to this. And I am especially loving my new mug from Pan Gregor Giving, and I'm wearing one of my favorite t-shirts.
Oh,
We don't normally do
beautiful. And I've got mine here. Starve out the scary,
Oh,
loving the good.
oh,
Yeah, they're
it's just so fantastic. You're sharing this in the world. So, anyways, thank you for having me, Pam. I'm really excited for what we're going to talk about today. And I mean, you have this amazing growing online platform with so many wonderful people that it's a joy to connect with them and connect with you. So, thank you.
oh, bless you. No, they're a very loving lot, actually. I'm constantly
Mhm.
baffled by all these people. But anyway, very grateful, and they are wonderful people. And yeah, and that's why we
And you're almost at 500,000 here on YouTube. I mean,
how
it's
did
just
that happen? I mean, how did that happen?
amazing. It's going
And
to keep growing
right.
as it should, and rightfully so.
Oh,
Yeah.
bless. Well, you've just hit a major milestone, I know, recently as well. So many congratulations on that too.
Oh, thank you.
That was 200,000, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I'm so grateful.
big
It's
mark.
awesome.
So I think today, Molly and I agreed that we're going to start by just touching on the total solar eclipse, because of course that's happening today as we're recording, a really big deal, and say a few things about that we may not have already said. And then we're going to gradually move into the nodes and more observations on the nodes that Molly and I have not yet shared. So pretty juicy topic, because I think the nodal axis movement this in this cycle is extremely powerful, unusually powerful. Yeah.
Unusually. Yeah. Big ongoing activations that we're going to touch on. And it's definitely going to affect us more individually, but certainly at a global level too. And so I'm excited to get into that, Pam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So where would you like to start with the eclipse today, Molly? Anything you'd like to share off the
Well, I love this eclipse energy in Leo at 20 degrees, a very big reset being witnessed, by countries that are already undergoing some big world changes and developments. But I feel that at a personal level, there's something new being born within us. And I know I mentioned this to you, Pam, but I've been tired. I've been feeling like my cellular activity is changing internally. I've been feeling a frequency shift in a very dramatic way, typical Leo energy, but it's been working with me in ways that I can't quite fully understand yet. But I know it's part of what is being rebirthed through this cycle, with the sun being so powerful, because not only is it this total solar eclipse, but it's in Leo ruled by the sun. And I feel like that just has like this double umph to it. It's strongly amplified.
yeah,
So that's what I've been feeling.
yeah, I'd really agree with that, and I share your tiredness, yeah, as many people do, because we've just got all this incredible plasma coming at us, very high frequency, to a degree I don't think we've ever experienced it before. The word unprecedented from people who are in the scientific community about this is quite remarkable how often that's coming up. So those are our ingredients to make us. We are plasma beings. We are electromagnetic beings. So, and there's no rehearsal for this, for the actual physicality of it. And so tired that
Yes.
we may be, the more we can embody these new high frequency light codes, the more we will shine in our light body, is my feeling. So we've got to kind of be on a fast track to learn how to integrate, and we're all playing catch up with this, aren't we? We're all
Yeah.
playing catch up because we haven't been trained to do this, but that's what this process is about. I think we're stepping into becoming the light body with all this incredible plasma, and it's very exciting.
Yes.
It's very tiring, but it's very
It's it is, and it has more extremes, I've noticed, like highs and lows and go and stop. And I've also been feeling too, like you said about the light body, that that's where the frequencies are supporting us. And so it's pushing out what we didn't realize we were holding, or what we didn't realize was still kind of maybe weighing us down. And so I think that we're going to have some very clear insights into what is complete. Like, I'm done with this cycle, I'm done with this choice, or I'm done with this whatever. And I actually just heard from a friend of mine today. Her name is Tracy Cumbera, and she was talking with a client that this is a time to choose your highest passion timeline.
Yeah.
And I love this. Like, Tracy works one-on-one in intuitive sessions with people. So she gets all these soul messages. And I thought, that's brilliant. It is about what is my highest passion timeline right now that maybe I haven't been ready to choose, or I didn't think I could experience or have. And it's not, it's like, it's very clear cut. I feel too with this energy, Pam. I feel like it's very decisive.
Yeah.
And that it's almost like our energy just is all in. I'm like, yeah, it's, this is what I need to do, or this is what I have to shift. And so I think that's part of what this total solar eclipse is activating, is this full shutdown, and then this full like reveal of what that is for each of us.
Yes, because it's
How
like
are you
a
feeling?
reboot, isn't it? When the sun's light and energy is blocked, it's like a reboot on a computer. So I think the intentions you set today, the focus you have around the eclipse, I really agree, because it's a really, really big new moon in our
Yeah.
lives. And it is, with all the other context of the astrology that you and I and many others have been sharing, this really is a time of deciding you are going to step into your sovereignty, Leo, and
Yes.
make that really clear in all your micro choices going through your day, that you
Yes.
are operating from the inside out. You're in sovereignty, because my strong feeling, we were chatting just before we were recording, that I think your path going forwards, your future trajectory, is going to become clearer and clearer and clearer, depending on the choices you're making at these big astrological events, and any difference between yourselves and other people around you, they are going to become clearer and clearer as well. Do
Yes.
you feel that, Molly?
Yeah, I feel that amplified. And I feel like even at a soul level, we're going to have some clarity around what those soul contracts or soul lessons are that now you're done with. You're like, okay, this formed me or shaped me as much as it could, as far as I could go with it. Now I declare a new type of experience or energy that I want to embody. And I think that's where we're going to see these shifts, as you described, Pam, of like, well, this is where I'm standing in this energy, and this is what I'm embodying. And it's clear to me who is not on the same frequency, and that's to be honored. We understand everyone has free will and their own sovereign choices. And so I feel like there's going to be even greater strengthening of what you do embody and what you do choose, and that you'll feel stronger doing it on your own terms.
Yeah, perfect. And the amplification isn't just because it's Leo, which is, big heart energy. It's because, Jupiter's there too in that
Yes.
sign as well. And it's interesting, we know that wherever you have Pluto as well, that is
Mm-hmm.
amplified at the other end of the axis. And
Yeah.
but also, with that Jupiter and also Mars coming up fairly soon as well, that sense of amplification of all of that energy, and the amplification of heart energy.
Yes. And I love that. Like, I get excited about that because I think that's part of what's going to gain light and power, is that there's going to be an elevation in that heart chakra and in those heart frequencies that make it clear to you, I'm going to say, what love is now, or what love means to you, or what that feels like personally. It feels like there's this fire or this passion that comes alive that you can just sense and really know, this is what's true for me now, even though it looks really different than previous cycles or previous versions of myself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a
Okay.
really big rebirth. And I also think it's seeding the next longest total eclipse of the century, August the 2nd, 2027, where
Right.
there's going to be another big lift off, I think. So these are all
Big.
kind of big steps up as we go through this super powerful astrology. And it's also interesting isn't it, Molly, that this is kind of pinging off a particular generation chart,
Yes.
the kind of baby boomers,
Yes.
because the baby boomers would have their Pluto. If you're born between 1950 and 54, you'd have your Pluto somewhere around 20 degrees of Leo. And so that is taking in some of the rulers. President Putin
Yes.
has his Pluto at 22 of Leo. Xi Jinping, who was born in 53, has his Pluto at 21 of Leo. So, that generation of leaders, which has been apparently very strong in one sense and very top down. I think there's no debate. Very top down. That is what is coming under the microscope as well, in terms of this
And
thing about sovereignty and the heart and who's in charge and etc.
And we're going to have some really big visible changes over the next few years because of these eclipses in Leo that are not only big, but amplified, as you said, with Jupiter in Leo. And then we're going to have our upcoming Mars in Leo retrograde working with these degree points. And then we have more eclipses in Leo. So the Leo areas of our chart are being strongly worked with. And it's not just right now. It's not just here in August 2026. Like, this is easily for the next year, year and a half. There's going to be very visible, dramatic changes in these energies. And so I think too, like the Pluto and Leo generation, it's going to bring up how power has been used, what has been extreme or what has been too power hungry and too much. And then there can be some invitations back into the heart, but I don't want to idealize that, because I also don't think that some of the individuals, that we've mentioned are going to have that kind of heart chakra opening. I think it's going to be something very different potentially.
Yeah, reasonable guess, I say, reasonable guess.
Yeah.
But what it is birthing in us, I think, that heart expansion and also the fact that the South Node is in Leo, so it can show the worst excesses of power, the
Yes.
narcissism, the grandiosity, the entitlement, and we're getting that very, very writ large, very, very clearly in the world. But that is acting as a catalyst to say, is this the kind of leadership we want? Is this the kind of socio-political structure that we want going forwards? Do we not want more heart-based leadership? And what does even that word leadership mean? Because as we move into much more Aquarian energy, it's much more horizontally based as a socioeconomic political city. Is teamwork, it's visionaries, it's progressives, it's people assembling around an idea to make it happen that's quite fluid and malleable. It isn't you're being told what to do with all these rules and regulations. I think we're absolutely done in a ditch with that.
Done in a ditch. Yes. And I think that it's going to be the collective heart that starts to pulse louder and becomes stronger. And I think this is where that Aquarius energy, North Node in Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius, is taking us further. It's our collective, like, crowdsourcing of heart chakra that is going to be more powerful and dominant, if you will. Not that it's about dominance, but that it is about, those are the frequencies also of the new earth, of like signifying more of what we want on this planet. And I think there's going to be some drastic shifts in the leadership and in what we want in leadership. I think we're going to have some powerful new types of leadership that emerge, very unconventional, very unexpected. Because also what we're talking about with the generation that has Pluto and Leo is they are boomers, and we have yet almost, I think we have at least 7 generations on the planet right now. And so we need, and we're looking for new generational leaders. And so that's going to be a big part of the turnover, is that new leaders come forward who do things very differently. And that will be part of the challenge too, of how does this really work, and how is this going to go somewhere? But there's something that feels very exciting, at least exciting to me, that it's like we're entering into this brand new territory that we know nothing about. We're all just like figuring this out as we go, but we're smart enough, like we're aware, we're conscious enough. It's like this opportunity to really apply our consciousness and to really live with it and from it. And I think that's this exciting, like we're pioneering it on the planet in a whole new way.
We absolutely are. Layers of paint on a blank canvas. We absolutely are. And yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree, Molly. And I also think that a lot of younger people, Aquarian energy, a lot of younger people are going to come forwards as leaders because the young people are so switched on. And so I love
Yeah.
phrase the collective heart as well, because I was talking about something the other day in a video about this sort of, I think there's a new, again, you're talking about your cells being activated, a new biological kind of heart brain system developing within us, where the heart is in the lead and the mind, the brain, the higher mind even, is actually secondary to the heart. The
Yeah.
heart is doing the navigating, the feeling. And
Yeah.
I didn't in fact even articulate this, but I think and also it's going to be invisible for those not on this timeline because they're just going to think
Right.
it's crazy talk because all this stuff is
Yeah.
invisible. But when people come together on a similar frequency in a meditation, a group of people, whether it's 4 people or 4,000 people, whether it's online or in person, there is a sense of a new energetic template being built
Yep.
from that frequency that is at a higher level, I think, than
Yeah.
we've ever known. It's finer, it's higher, because we're working with intentions from the heart and birthing things that are more humanitarian, more
Mhm.
beneficial for the earth as well. And I think a lot of
Mhm.
brilliant new ideas and healing technologies are going to come from that too. But it's going to come collectively because that's the Aquarian energy.
Yeah, and so it's the many of us who have been doing our work privately, internally, out of sight, that are actually creating this template more actively now. It feels like that's where we're syncing up. I mean, I know you offer and do that meditation every evening from wherever people are. And that's the energy that's been contributing to this template. And I feel more people choosing it, but I feel it gets stronger to stay there. Like it's easier to stay in that energy and to not be knocked off of it or to not sink down into other parts of yourself, because sometimes these energies can feel like you're battling a previous version of yourself, like how you used to handle something or how you thought you would be. It's like, no, we're actively choosing, this is my frequency now, this is my energy now, and it's matching up with millions of people around the world who are also choosing that frequency.
I really totally agree. It's like we got the scaffolding up, we're now
Yeah.
getting the bricks and mortar up, and it's just holding that frequency because we've got the
Yeah.
foundation now. And it's interesting, just in that very simple free meditation that I offer at 7 p.m. I've been doing it for a couple of years. Because there's so much telepathy in the group, more and more people are coming back and saying things like the light, that grid of light, that whole web of light is stronger, clearer,
Yeah.
brighter, bigger. But it's not just us, it's people all, it's you doing it, it's people all over the world doing this. And we
Yes.
collectively, invisibly, have actually created that is the found I'm going to go it's the
Yeah.
foundation for the next
Yeah.
level of humanity and the earth.
It's that next grid. It's that next light grid that already exists, and that, yes, it's being strengthened, and we're just feeling it and experiencing it more easily. And it's interesting because I've also noticed some shifts in how I want to spend my time during the day or during the week. And there's something about like continuing to honor these new choices your energy is drawn to. Because as you said, Pam, when you're leading from the heart and you're trusting what you're feeling, you're going to start making new choices. And even if they're micro and they're like seem pretty small, they could continue to validate this new energy that you're already feeling.
Yeah.
So it could be small. It's just like it could be very minor changes that you don't think much about. And then you realize, oh, wow, this actually has been an important part of my energy changing.
Yeah, I'd really agree. And it's if you're not sure, always think, is this for my highest good, the highest good
Mm,
of all, the highest good of the earth, and kind of check in with yourself before
yeah,
you have to make a decision. Is this
yeah,
the
yeah.
natural organic way, etc.? Because there's some big decisions that are going to come in that arena as well.
That's for sure.
So, Molly, do you want to start talking? Because I know you feel you've got lots to say around Jupiter and Mars, both of which are going to be retrograding over that south node. Do you want to start to pick up that theme?
Yeah,
That was really
great.
fascinating. I'm really with you on that kind of feeling of the energy shifting to a very different place.
Yeah. And so with these nodes, and so the nodes of fate are always about what we're collectively learning and developing together. And the north node signifies where the increase happens. And then you can think of the south node as the decrease of what is being removed, released, and basically completing. And so with this energy of the north node in Aquarius, we're all meant to be stepping into more of our authentic sovereign self.
Yeah.
And then that south node in Leo is revealing what parts of ourselves we don't have to hold on to anymore, where it's no longer aligned and no longer true. And so Pam and I were talking about how, this Jupiter in Leo is going to be working with the South Node 3 times. And then also we have in the mix Mars, which has an upcoming retrograde in Leo that's also working with the South Node, I believe, 2 times. And so we have a period here in November 2026 when both Jupiter and Mars in Leo are conjunct at 25 degrees, conjunct the South Node. And this is like a big development globally around Mars's masculine energy. It's your ego, your sense of self, how you assert yourself, your strength, how you handle challenges. And Jupiter makes it bigger. So we're going to have some big energies ending and leaving in November that feels quite paramount. What do you think, Pam? How would you describe it?
I hardly have the words. I mean, it just feels huge because Jupiter amplifies and expands and Mars energizes. And so you've got both of those traveling together, conjunct the South Node. And as you say, absolutely, Molly, spot on in November. And in fact, I think it starts on the 3rd, because on the 3rd of November, Mars crosses the degree of the total solar eclipse today. It crosses 20 degrees. And often when that happens, you get something, fairly interesting or dramatic happening. And that's the 3rd of November, which I think is an important date in the US.
Yeah.
It's a very
And so for people who, just to know, like Mars is a trigger.
Yeah.
And a catalyst, right? So it's where we get angry, we have a strong response, we have strong anger. Mars in Leo, it roars loudly. And this is energy that's also working with some people who are very visible on the global stage. So we have big energy here in November. So November 3rd is when it starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then you've actually got that grouping of Mars and Jupiter and the South Node all at around in November 25 to 26 of Leo, which is where the US president has his natal Mars, and so does the Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah.
So this is a hot time. And then on the 11th of November, you've got Jupiter exactly square that South Node at 25 of Leo. You've got Mars then on the 14th. This is all coming in quick succession over these days. On the 17th of November, you've got South Node and Mars at 25, 26 of Leo, square to the Sun at 25 of Scorpio, and the Moon at 25 of Aquarius. So so for anybody out there who has today anything between about, what would you say, Molly, 17 and 23 of any fixed sign, with the total solar eclipse being at 20?
I would even go to 26 degrees, because that being an activation of this Mars and Jupiter and Leo at 25, 26.
Right. So you go to 26 because that, those later degrees are going to be hyper activated. Into November, which is a very powerful time for the US, as we know. And Mars starts to go retrograde later in the year, I think.
It's in January, January 10th.
Yeah, and then when a planet is retrograde, it's closer to the Earth as well.
Right.
And let's not forget, you've got Pluto out of bounds to the south.
Yes.
From August to December for the next, until 2035. And then it doesn't go out of bounds to the south again for 12,000 years.
I mean, if if there was any indication that the world is changing, this is it. And so one thing I was sensing around all of this intense focus, Pam, in these Leo energies working with the South Node, one thing that I was receiving from my guides, who are not my
I'm
guides,
sure that goes
my
as well.
guides, yeah, is that we have the potential to enter into a post narcissistic timeline.
Yeah, for sure. But that's what this whole
And
thing is about.
that will be an increasing energy field that is going to be activated. And I feel this extends even back to other big eras of human development, including Atlantis, including other times. I'm even hearing like the Industrial Revolution. It's like there were times when there was things that were really essential and needed, and we're moving out of that. We're moving into this new collective field energy. And so November and into 2027 is going to really amplify what we are meant to close out.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And, it's very interesting, isn't it? That I don't know if you've observed this, Molly, as well with Pluto. I found that if Pluto is used in terms of service to self, transits to Pluto and Pluto transits to your natal planets do not work well. Where you've used it altruistically, your Pluto,
Yes,
then
yes,
it can result in your empowerment. So for some
yes,
people, even the baby boomer people out there who've
yeah.
got Pluto at these degrees we're talking about in Leo, for some of them, if they've used that Pluto altruistically, that's going to result in their empowerment. So that's going to be a big
Yeah.
contrast to some of the perhaps players on the public stage that we have right now.
And I feel there's going to be a revival of the beautiful Leo qualities that we've become detached from in all of these technologies, being on our phones, being on our devices. It's almost like, no, I want to put my fingertips in the paint, or I want to dance, or I want to do something that lights up my heart. I want to do something that feels good that only I can create for myself in person. And I feel like that could be part of this energy too, is that there's a revival of what we need in our lives through our personal expression. And we become detached from it because we're all, focused on our screens, or we're all just aware that everything's changing. So what's the point? But the point is to live, and it's to live passionately. And I think that could be something that more people are like drawn to with this transit.
Yeah, and it's very much about creative energy, isn't it? Leo,
Yeah.
it could be any form of creativity, the performance arts as well, singing, dancing, whatever it is, your particular form of creativity, which may be totally different to anything you've ever done in the past, because this is a
Yes.
rebirth
Yes.
energy, and it really is one of the key signs, I think, for sovereignty. This sense,
Yes.
I'm living from the inside out. I'm not being
Yeah.
dictated to anymore. So I think this could be really beautiful, and I can really see a lot of innovation happening as well. And
Yeah.
I think also people becoming much clearer about what's happening with technology. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
interesting. I know you've gone back and looked at the previous cycle of
Yeah.
Aquarius and Leo, because that was a significant time for new technology, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I went back 2 cycles. So previously, when we had the South Node in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius back in May 1989 into 1990. Okay, so 2 cycles ago, right? 89 to 1990. Some big things were occurring around the internet. And it was actually when his name was, I believe, Berners-Lee
Yeah,
built the first fundamental technologies that led to the World Wide Web.
yeah,
So one of these cycles was the World Wide Web being launched, the first HTML architecture, the first web browser. There were also the first GPS satellites launched in 89 and 90. There was also the Hubble Space Telescope launched, which was huge for how it changed our concept of the solar system, what we could see, study, understand. So every time the North Node is in Aquarius, we have these revolutionary technologies that show up on the world stage. I mean, it continues to demonstrate that astrology is valid and real. And it also expands our understanding of our place in the solar system and our place in the cosmos. And so we're in this cycle again, but it's always fascinating to look back on the previous cycles. And then I also want to mention that back in 1990 is when the Human Genome Project was
Very,
launched.
very.
That was the international research program, right? To like understand the entire human genetic code. So that's when it was launched publicly. That, of course, there's a lot going on behind the scenes way before that, but I thought that was fascinating as well.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. And whenever actually Pluto is in Aquarius, we have a deeper view of the cosmos, don't we? And you probably
Yeah.
know, Molly, there's just been a Vera Rubin telescope that's become operational, which is taking
Yeah.
slices of the cosmos in a much more detailed way than we've ever had before. So that links
Yeah.
in. And then in the previous Aquarius Leo cycle, nodal cycle, we have the launch of the iPhone, didn't we? And much wider use of the internet. And it's interesting as well if we look at the stock market, the previous cycle, which spanned
Hmm.
2007 to I think
Yeah.
mid 2009. Of course, we have the financial crash in September 2008.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to think that's also when it was like the kings of Wall Street or the corporate elite, which we could relate to the South Node in Leo, had some big downfalls because they thought they were too big to fail. And so that brought in the Bernie Madoff scandal and that big collapse in his Ponzi scheme. That occurred in, 2000, I believe it was late 2008. But it was the grandiosity of the downfall of people who thought they couldn't be touched, which can be part of that lower expression of Leo energy.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Half a cycle before, and interesting,
Mm,
then we had Jupiter in Leo. So half a cycle before, when we had the North Node in Leo and the South Node in Aquarius, we had the dot-com bubble because it
right.
peaked in March 2020. And
Yeah.
I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not even a financial astrologer, but I think we may well be. I don't know how you feel about this, Molly. We haven't discussed
Yeah.
it. I think we could well be in an AI bubble right now.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, brilliant. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, it has that extremes in the messaging and how AI is going to take over the world and we're all going to lose jobs. And it takes us into that fear state, which detaches us from our power and our choices. And I've even seen the trend now online, which you can easily recognize the difference between AI art or AI articles, and people don't want it. They want, no, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to look at that. I want something that's genuine, something that's human. So I think that's part of where this bubble is going to burst too. And then, of course, we have everything that's going on around the data centers and how AI is going rogue within these alleged like closed testing experiments, but AI is breaking out of it. So we have a lot of these red flags coming up that I think we're smart enough to understand where this could go. And I really hope that there are collective decisions that remove those worst case scenarios that direct us in a new path.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is certainly the shadow side of North Node in Aquarius,
Mm-hmm.
of control by technology, and it's also
Right.
you know Pluto squaring Chiron in Taurus as well. But you've got this crazy situation with these extreme weather events, where in many places, including the UK now, we've got drought conditions in many
Mm.
geographies and water restrictions, and even people can only use water certain hours of the day, and yet
Oh,
AI is being built at massive speed, requiring millions of gallons of water to cool the
yeah.
servers and huge amounts of electrical power, when in many countries like the US and the UK, the power grids are really creaking. And so,
Yeah.
if we're being told that we can't, water our garden, and we have to restrict, how much water we use in our homes, and bath with a friend, remember that, and that whole thing. And yet, millions of gallons of water are being used for being rapidly built AI centers. There's
Yeah.
a disconnect. There's a major disconnect, and I think it's
Major.
that disconnect is part of the awakening of what's happening. So I can see, and I know you've mentioned this in the past, Molly, that getting into the later months of this year, Venus starts to move retrograde on the 3rd of October. And then you've got some other, developments later in the year. And if we look at the you're probably familiar with the Louise McWhirter cycle because she studied the 18.6 lunar node cycle, and she published a book, brilliant book, in 1937 about this cycle. And economists who know nothing about astrology talk about this 18.6 year land and housing cycle, knowing nothing, but it's actually, the nodal cycle.
Right.
And it's particularly when the North Node moves into Aquarius, but especially from halfway through Aquarius into halfway through Capricorn, historically, because the nodes are moving backwards. Everybody, I know Molly knows this, obviously, but moving back, so sort of mid Aquarius till mid Capricorn, that's when you often have a significant downturn in the housing market, which is very good for buyers.
Yes. And I feel like here in the States, there's been a definite slowdown in people buying houses with the interest rates and just inflation, and a sense of also the housing market being more expensive in many areas than it's ever been. Like very like rural or even small towns have a much higher price points right now. And so something has to give and something has to change with this. And I think that makes a lot of sense, that that's part of the cycle that we're in. And something is going to change. And I think about how, Aquarius is collective living. Aquarius is condos, apartments, nursing homes, community spaces of all kinds. And so something's going to lead us forward that offers perhaps many people an unexpected solution that's unconventional, but that's part of this north node in Aquarius. And I think back to one of the last times we had this is when crowdsourcing started. It was like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, like where people pooled together their resources to make something, take off. So the collective endeavors are going to be important in this whole cycle.
Yeah, I interviewed a lovely lady a few months ago called Cynthia Tina, who runs, she's in contact with hundreds of communities all over the world, South America, Europe. She lives in Vermont, and she runs a company called Eco Village Tours. So she organizes travel to these communities to see if it's the kind of living that people want. And she said they're just expanding so fast. They're growing so fast because if you're in a community, every single household doesn't need a car. You maybe need 2 cars instead of 10 cars, and two mowers instead of 10. So this brings in the economies of scale for people who may not be able to afford a home of their own, and that's absolutely the direction of travel with that North Node in Aquarius as well.
It reminds me of another example I just recently came across, and it's called a mom mune, as in commune, but mom mune, where it's moms living together that are raising their kids together. And I think they're single moms or divorced, but they are buying the house together and sharing resources and allowing that to be a way to reduce the stress of parenting, but also to share the space and to benefit from what each parent brings to the table. So I thought that was really interesting, very creative. I mean, I know these things have existed for a while, but it's like they're coming more to the forefront, and they're becoming actual solutions that people are gravitating towards more readily.
Yeah, absolutely, Molly. And it's interesting as well that we had that Uranus-Pluto conjunction in 65, 66, which admittedly was in Virgo, but that was the beginning of communes, the hippie movement, communes, and now Uranus and Pluto are in trine, so there's a blossoming of that original seed point, which is adding to this whole, I think, future direction of communities. I think that's going to be very, very strong going forwards. But also, we've got an interesting situation right now because whenever we have the eclipses, the true node comes to a kind of standstill, doesn't it, Molly, for several months, comes to a standstill. So it's very interesting that now, until I think kind of almost mid-October, we've got the nodes at 29 degrees of Aquarius and Leo. And that's the anoretic degree as well. So we're seeing an awful lot of wildfires. We're seeing, all the excesses of ego that we've talked about, and I'm in charge. And so, this is quite a fiery time, but it's also an incredibly creative time to shift from that, because we're seeing the shadow expressions. And then,
I was going to say really quick, Pam, that's so key what you just said. It's brilliant, because it's one thing to be mad and upset and have a strong feeling or reaction. And then it's another to channel it forward
Yeah.
into your creative process and what you're going to do with the energy. And I think that's part of the invitation as the nodes hang out here at the anaretic degree for an extended amount of time. It's like, consider it an invitation into yourself and what you're going to choose to do with the energy, so that you're not like stuck in that rigid, fixed sign energy of not doing anything, of just being somewhere, but like move it, allow it to move you forward.
Yeah, because see it as if anything's uncomfortable, I always think, life isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. So what
Yeah.
is the lesson? What is the catalyst that can move
Yeah.
me to a different place or help other people to move to a different place? It's very
Yes.
interesting. And then I think a little bit later we have the into early next year, we have the nodes again going to a standstill. I think it's around, yeah, it's obviously around eclipse time as well. From
Yeah.
it, in fact, it starts, I think, in January and runs
Mm.
until the Aries equinox. The true nodes are at 20 of Aquarius and 20 of Leo, which is the degree of the total solar eclipse today. So that's
Yes.
another emphasis point on what we're seeing as not just total solar eclipses for today. It's a very expanded eclipse energy, isn't it, Molly? It's over
Very.
several months in an unusual way.
And it continues to be activated, as we mentioned. Jupiter is going to have retrograde in Leo, moving across this degree point of 20 degrees 3 times, completes this degree point in June of 2027.
Yeah.
And then Mars continues to work with that 20 degrees of Leo as well, because of Mars's upcoming retrograde in the first half of 2027. And so this 20 degrees is a big deal because it continues to be touched, amplified, triggered. It's like you're going to continue to create here in this area of your chart, and it could happen fast with Mars and Leo, but it's going to be something that's meant to be changing your heart, changing your passions, changing you at a core level in some capacity.
Yeah, and today is the birth, isn't it? It's
Yes.
another upgrade. It's the birth because it's a big new moon
Yes.
in heart energy. Who just recognize who are you already becoming that is going to
Yes.
continue to blossom through these coming months, because
Yeah.
yeah, those degree points are going to keep on being hit. Because I think, yes, April particularly, you've got Leo moving across that south node again at 17 to 20 degrees of Leo, and again, as you mentioned, June. And it's kind of reactivating all the way through from now.
Yeah.
Almost it's 10 months, isn't it? It's 10 months in total.
Yeah. And so there's these going to be almost like repetitive messages or repetitive understandings of what is your higher path. Because, like we talked about the light body, the heart chakra, these new higher frequencies, I feel like this is going to be where we keep choosing that. We keep feeling like this is the way that I'm meant to go, which means I'm leaving behind maybe more than you realized because it's working with the South Node. So we're going to be letting go of even more that we have been attached to and connected to. But we're meant to set ourselves free and to not stay in that limited ego perspective of this is mine. I don't want to let it go. I don't want this to be over. It's like there's something here that I feel propels us forward. And I see it as some kind of like launching of the energy too, Pam. I don't know why. It just feels like there's a launch here that could feel actually quite invigorating.
Yeah, I think it's thrilling, and I think we are into unknown territory. Because
Yeah.
until now, we have always had that 3D context, haven't we? As
Yeah.
whether you're an economist, a meteorologist, an astrologer, we've referred to past cycles. This is what happened
Yeah.
last time. We can make an intelligent estimate on this is what will happen this time. I think those rules are off, and
Yeah.
just, I think they're just off. And we haven't got a context as we move
Yeah.
forwards, because as we kind of move into these higher dimensions and we become much more multidimensional beings, and we start to talk to trees and fairies and heaven knows
Yeah.
what galactic beings, it is going to be so unimaginably different that it's going to
Yeah.
be very hard to describe. We are creating it kind of on the run. We are creating it as we
Yeah.
speak through the experiences.
Yeah. And we're traveling with this Leo passion and fire and desire. And so I want to, make sure that's clear too for people that like this can be really exciting energy,
Yeah.
even though it's the south node in Leo, which means there are things that have to leave. I think it's that Jupiter that's going to bring things to life in a new way and could be quite motivating.
Yes.
So there's something about it that I always think is going to be really beneficial. And if you consider how Jupiter is our spiritual protection, it is the sage, it's the wise part of you that you can trust. It's going to be really evident, what is the right thing to choose or what is connected truly to your heart.
Yeah. What is heart expanding for you?
Yes,
And
beautifully.
particular,
Yes.
and to guide you, just really see which houses that nodal axis is falling across, Leo, Aquarius, and go back to 2007, 208, 209, what was happening for you at that point,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Because I remember
Right.
I was studying for my master's qualification in astrology then, and now it's the shamanic training. I don't know what it was for you, Molly, because it's straddling my third and my ninth. So that can help to trigger your memory of what was happening last time in those years, and you're now taking it to a higher level.
That's when I first started my business.
There we go. There we
And that was me doing it on my own in my own way. I had one of my first websites in 2009, and it was like hanging up your shingle or just putting yourself out there in a whole new way, in a whole new endeavor, which is North Node in Aquarius. That there is something here about your authentic energy to embrace, to apply, to work with. And there's something too around that's going to be where the doors open, like where you find more of your people, more of your tribe. That's also where there is an increase in the opportunities and developments that come through. Yeah.
And the nodes are very related to relationship as well, aren't they?
Yes.
Very connected to
Yes.
relationship. I remember in the previous cycle, 1989, it was September 30th, 1989, I got married, which was seems a very good idea at the time. And then
Yeah.
18.6 years later on the button, on the node, as it were, because that seemed like a very
Yeah.
good idea to do as well, to
Yeah.
sit and, so it's so fascinating to watch those cycles through your life and see what's
Yeah.
unfolding. And I feel it's very much at the soul level as well. You know,
Absolutely. And these are fast moving energies as well, especially in Leo. So just so people understand, like there's going to be things here that you feel it powerfully and truthfully. And that alone is your yes. And so just as Pam described, it's less about overthinking it or trying to figure out the plan or the details. Like that's kind of all being removed. Like we're meant to be working with the fullness of our energy, and that's what's going to take us forward into these new endeavors. And I feel the universe then brings forward exactly what you need that opens up these new gateways or these new portals. Like I feel like it's really encouraging for those of people who have already been on this path of higher consciousness, which is our audience. I think this is going to be very exciting for you. And I want to offer that because there's going to be extremes, as we mentioned, with things falling down and a lot falling apart in the 3D world and in the lower energies. But for those of you who are living beyond that, you're going to accelerate.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. The universe comes to meet you. Once you've set your clear
Yeah.
intention, you can hold that frequency. The universe just provides people, opportunities, jump leads. You should meet so and so. They want to do the same thing. You should get together. So there's going to be that kind of collaboration, I think, coming through in a way that we've never known so fully before. And I think the 3D world, however tangible and intense it's been, and all that we've lived, I think will just fade. It's almost like a black and white photo, and then a negative, and it will just fade away because our lives will become so much more vibrant if we can
Yes.
hold that higher frequency. So you're just full of incredible experiences day to day, and
Yeah,
we'll be much less concerned about survival in the issues. We've got
right.
to have money in the bank account to pay the gas bill and buy food, and I think all of that will be solved in a totally different way. There'll be much more sharing, much more growing food together. It will be just a very different collective experience that I just think is hugely, I think it's hugely exciting.
I think we're going to be feeling a new life force with all this energy in Leo, the South Node in Leo, Jupiter and Mars in Leo. I think there is a reconstruction of energy in the life force that we actively live from. And so this could be something where you just feel you're living a different life in the new world. And that's very personal. But I've already been sensing that. I've already been experiencing that. And it's amazing everything that falls away. It no longer matters. It no longer connects. Like it just has no effect, kind of like what you said about the black and white energy. And it's like it's all in the background now. And so you're living in a new, vivid color experience of the energies. It feels really peaceful in some ways.
Very supportive and very
Yeah.
loving. And I think we'll get in touch with a kind of a loving quality of Gaia that we've been really quite disconnected from. And I'm feeling that in my shamanic studies, my shamanic work, and just the love from the group, but the love from the
Mm-hmm.
earth, and getting back in touch with natural cycles and the magic of nature. So I feel very strongly it's sort of something ancient coming back. And I think many of us are going to feel this ancient wisdom coming back, ancient practices coming back. They may be shamanic or different from that. But I think there's going to be so much that we will remember and become and embody again, become part of us again.
And a lot of ancient practices are galactic and they have been channeled and received across decades, eras, and full civilizations. And I think we're going to have some really powerful insights into the origins of ancient practices and galactic influence. I think there's going to be new stories and new understandings of where things originated from and why. And so I feel there's going to be a purity in the energies of what and why we have certain practices and what that means and how it's meant to be supportive of our human experience here on the planet. I think that's going to be a very fascinating like breakthroughs that happen for people around why they're choosing certain things or why they're drawn to certain things, practices, rituals, teachings. I think it's going to be quite expansive and it's going to continue to take us off planet as well. So it's such an interesting dance, right? Of like the grounding and the new connections with Gaia as we also then basically extend those energy cords out into new galactic understandings.
Yeah, there's a sense of spaciousness that starts to come in. Instead of the contraction that we've lived within, there's a sense
Yeah.
of spaciousness that's almost infinite that starts to
Yes.
come in as well. So that I think one of the best things you can do is find your tribe, as it were, whether that's
Mhm.
online or whether it's in person, it doesn't matter. Find your tribe that you really feel you're speaking the same language. You might agree to meditate together or whatever it is to share this energy so you're all supporting each other energetically, because all of this is about the energy. And the reason the old world is collapsing is that the energy is no longer sustaining it because it's
Yeah.
becoming so much more loving. It's just
Yeah.
going to crumble and disintegrate. So kind of
Yeah.
hitch your star to a wagon, and aim high, because this is the time to make your decisions on the day of the total solar eclipse, that we're moving forwards to say, yes, I'm evolving into a much higher state than I've ever lived in recent lifetimes, and I'm going to throw myself into it fully, and don't wait, create. Don't look back at the collapse and the drama and the color and the shouting and the noise. Just focus forwards and create from the heart. And
Oh, I love it. Yep.
that's very much what this energy is about.
And it's powerful. It's visceral. I mean, it just has that really impactful frequency to it. And I think that people are going to actually surprise themselves with the choices they make because of this energy. Some people are going to have some life defining choices, and they're going to have some things that like change overnight. It's going to be like things shift on a dime, or you wake up with a realization of something you need to do or say or experience. Like there's something here where, because the energies move so fast in the higher frequencies, it's like a laser beam, and you just feel, wow, I've got the message, I have the understandings, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to experience that. So it's a fast moving cycle, which is important to note, because the previous cycle with the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo has been more receptive, observational. It's been a little bit quieter, if you will, and this is definitely more active.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree with that very much, Molly. But also to balance it, I think we need our times of stillness.
Oh yes, more
Because
than ever.
we're just going to kind of,
Oh
spin off because it is so fun.
yes.
We're making decisions in the moment that feel right and exciting. And yeah, absolutely. I'm going to sell the house, change my world. Absolutely. Change everything. So, but also I think we've got to kind of ground ourselves in those moments of stillness. Otherwise, you could kind of fritz mentally. There's quite a lot of
Yeah,
such high frequency energy as well. So that would be
yeah,
an important part of this as well.
agreed,
So
agreed. Yes,
anything, I mean, we're building a new energetic template, I feel.
yeah,
A whole new
yep,
energetic template for a new way of being, a new way of living, a new way of sharing, a new way really of understanding our world at every level, from inner
every level.
earth to way out in the cosmos. We are going to get so many revelations and innovations, and it's going to be astonishing. And I also think we can clean up all the mess, the pollution, whether it's on the land or in the
Mm,
seas, much, much faster than we've ever imagined. I think we're going to
yeah,
have to clean up illness and sickness, and it's all going to be about energy, frequency, and light.
yes,
And it,
agreed. And those new solutions can be adapted quickly, and they could even come through these new technologies. Like these would be the better uses of AI and of these advancing technologies, is how to repair the planet, take care of the ocean, make some new practices or implement new things that are best for the earth and for our experiences. I think that is very, very possible.
and I think when AI does not have a profit motive, but is focused on the
Mm,
betterment of humanity and Gaia, then AI can work really well for us. But as long as it's got a profit motive behind it, and question marks about the consciousness creating it and
mhm.
running it, then I think they're big question mark. But we're going to move beyond all that, because I think
Yes,
people are becoming more and more aware. We're going to move beyond it. So
yes.
that was a fast over the jumps, Molly.
Yes.
Very.
It's so wonderful. Thank you so much, Pam, for your time and your generosity and just all your wisdom. You're just such a star. So thank you for making time to have this conversation. I'm so grateful. And I hope people get some good things from this that affirms where they're at and what they're going through.
Yeah, I mean, you've had some beautiful sharings in this, and I know people will get a lot from this very rich conversation. And
Mhm.
I just want to
Thank
thank you again, Molly, for all your beautiful work in the world. I know you care so much about people, and you care so
you.
much about building a more loving world. And is there any?
Well, as do you. And I want everyone to remember that Pam Gregory Giving is a fantastic way to support more of these high frequencies. I have 2 mugs, I have 2 shirts. I
Oh,
love the quality. Pam doesn't know I was going to do this, but I have to mention it because what she's doing is making a difference, and it makes me happy to use this mug. So just consider Pam Gregory Giving if you haven't checked it out already, because it's incredible, Pam, like how you're extending this energy into the world and all the people that are receiving this goodwill and these improvements because of you. So thank you.
oh, bless you, Molly. That was very heartfelt. Thank you. No, I didn't know you were going to do that. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes,
It's
thank
a
you.
very heart-centered venture, and also it's fun. Those sayings on
Yeah,
are fun, and they're triggering reactions on the New York subway or Central Park or wherever. Just raising a
fantastic.
smile and planting a seed. So bless you.
Yeah.
And what have you got coming up that you'd like to share? Is there anything in particular that you'd like to share that you're going to be doing or even not doing, perhaps?
Well, I think I'm going to look at my plans for 2027, just to be very vague. I guess I can mention that for those of you who want to learn more about the nodes of fate, I did just do a new program, a new course that has 13 videos. It's very beginner friendly. If you want to see more about these energies in your own chart, I love doing more of these in-person events, so I'm going to see if I can do more of those coming up here later this year into 2027. Because just as we've discussed, it's coming together that matters. It's meeting other people, connecting with similar frequencies, knowing you're not alone, especially with astrology. I met over 1,000 of you in the previous few months with my crystal pyramid experience workshops. Fantastic energy at each location. So there's many people like you who have a shared frequency, and I hope I can, bring us together and foster some of those experiences. So I guess that's kind of what I have going on.
Yeah, beautiful. And I know they were a massive success for you, Molly. So, again, just want to thank you for all your beautiful astrology, your sharing, and your open-heartedness.
Thank you, Pam.
You
Thank
set,
you for having me.
you set the bar high for us. So
Oh,
God
I think you too.
bless. And much love to everybody out there. Hope you've got a lot out of this conversation. Much love.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye
Bye.
for now.